Good evening. I'd like to call this Tuesday, December 19th, 2017 meeting of Middletown City Council to order. If you please stand and join me in a moment of meditation and the pledge of allegiance to the flag. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Gates, please call the roll.
Ms. Bronston.
Here.
Mr. Bohannon.
Here.
Mr. Moon.
Here.
Mr. Picard.
Here.
Mayor Mulligan.
Here. All right, our first order of business this evening is a public hearing regarding the partial vacation petition, case number 4-17, a request by applicant Fisher Development Company for partial street vacation of 0.1951 acres of right-of-way to be converted to open space. Mr. Atkins?
Yes, Your Honor. Fisher Development is requesting a minor amendment to the final development plan for Renaissance 1 Phase 4 to allow the vacation of a 60 feet by 162 feet portion of drive at the intersection of Long Meadow Drive and Renaissance Boulevard. This will be converted into open space. Planning Commission has recommended approval of the vacation to City Council. Notifications were sent to property owners within 200 feet of the street vacation as well as to utility providers. There have been no objections received. There is no longer a public need for the property as a public street. Staff is also recommending approval of the minor amendment. This will be later in your agenda for a first reading as number 11, ordinance number 0-2017-69.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, Mr. Atkins? All right, I'll open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone to speak in favor of the proposed property vacation. Anyone to speak in proposed of the street vacation? Anyone to speak in opposition to the proposed street vacation? Anyone in opposition? All right, hearing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. And we'll move on to our citizens' comments. I received a few cards this evening. I'd like to invite up Reverend Tori Colts. Good evening. If we get your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, Reverend Tori Coates. My address is 904 Baker Court, Middletown, Ohio, 45044.
Good evening.
My name is Reverend Tori. I am an associate minister of New Era Baptist Church. Lately, a couple of months ago, there was a hearing about a lot of the planning or proposed planning for the housing situation. And I'm coming to you today because I want to let you know that as it relates to New Era Baptist Church, majority of our members would be affected by any levels of demolishment or any levels of eminent domain or anything like that. And I'm coming to you as a person who is extremely concerned about this. I've come to you about this not only wanting to talk to you about it, but also I have lots of ideas. I've been looking at different places that have different things that are going on in the urban area. So I wanted to know, first of all, if you all were going to have a committee that would have citizens on that housing, on the housing plan, when you begin to develop the plan. Because I think last week you said there was no plan, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I was wondering if I could be a part of that committee. So then that way, because there are lots of different things, there are a lot of different people are doing a lot of creative things. And so I wanted to see if that was.
Sure. Well, for tonight's comments, we're really not set up for a dialogue with council, but we certainly appreciate your thoughts and concerns on this.
Okay.
Council will certainly be considering plans as we move forward, but I mean, there's a
But you
variety
are
of
going
ways
to
that we
ask.
can do it.
You are going to ask citizens.
Oh, I think there'd be a wide variety for input and opportunity to share.
Great.
So.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. Another thing that I wanted to address, also wanted to address on the item number 10 right here. I had a question about that because I noted that the agenda states that the zoning code is being amended. And so I wanted to know what the code says now and how it's going to be amended.
It's a completely new zoning code for the city of Middletown.
So there's like specifics. Is there somewhere I can go to find out the specifics?
On our webpage, it's about 120 some pages.
So the new amendment is, so is it drastically different than what it is now?
I'm going to give a presentation on it a little bit later.
Okay.
and I'll give you the details on that.
Okay. And then also, just wanted to know if, wondering if that's going to affect the members of New Era, the majority of the members who have lived forever. I have one lady who's like 80 years old, and she lives in her house, you know, pretty much by herself. And pretty much those areas include the 6th Street and all the way over to like Lafayette. So a lot of our members live in that area. So I wanted to know if it would affect those areas.
Predominantly not.
Okay.
I mean, generally, everything that's there existing would go, this zone code would affect generally new things that happen in the city.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I hope you all have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. All right, next card I have is from Joshua Davis. Mr. Davis? Good evening. If we get your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, Joshua Davis, and I'm with Groups Recovery. We're located at 300 North Main Street, right across the road. So just want to do a quick introduction. Alongside me, this is Cindy Abney. This is Carol Gordon. We focus on helping individuals that are been directly affected by the opioid epidemic. We offer group counseling on a weekly basis. We also offer Suboxone treatments to help combat the opioid epidemic. One of the things that Groups does a little bit different than other treatment providers is we actually limit the amount of medication we prescribe to a weekly basis. So that kind of helps with concerns related to diversion. Also helps to ensure that individuals are attending on a weekly basis to seek out group counseling. And also individual counseling plays a role as well. I wanted to just do a quick introduction and
well,
pass
we're
over to
new in
Cindy
the
as well.
area, so we wanted to let everyone know that we're there, number one. We kind of snuck in October, November, but the office is fully functioning now with staff that's in place and has been since July. So again, it's just to let you know we're there. We definitely want to partner with the partners in Middletown that are doing the other services, which are mental health or housing, employment. So again, just information to let you know we're here. We did bring some items if there's somewhere that we can put them to maybe give them out to people that could be interested in knowing who we are and where we're at. And that's it. Thank
All right.
you so
Well, thank you. Appreciate you coming down this evening. Next card I have this evening is from Pastor Ruth Kelly. Good evening. If we get your name and address for the record, please.
Ruth Kelly, and our church that we own is at 831 11th Avenue here in Middletown, The Light Ministries. And thank you for letting me come up. I just want to let you know that my pastor, who is also Samuel Kelly at The Light Ministries, we also would like to let you know that we would like to be a part of the planning when you are ready to have planning available for housing here in the community. So we would like to be a part of that process. Thank you, City Manager, also and Mayor, and all of you on the council. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming down this evening.
Yes, sir.
Next card I have is from Joya Smith. Ms. Smith? Good evening. If we get your name and address for the record, please.
Joya Smith, 304 Marshall Road, I'm sorry. I came and spoke at our last meeting. I wasn't sure if I was going to speak again, and I usually write things down, but today I thought I was just going to kind of go from the heart and wing it. I want to reiterate the fact that we, as citizens in Middletown, feel like we are not being fairly represented. You know, I watch these meetings on YouTube, and I hear a lot talking about the downtown areas and promoting new businesses, you know, maybe bringing subdivisions in here. I don't hear anybody speak about crime. I don't hear anybody speak about the opioid epidemic, which I'm glad these people are here. There are major concerns that people have, and I don't feel like our ideas and concerns are being represented. I'm wondering about the ethical intent of some of the people on this panel. We have people that are receiving city funds and that are going to be seated, and I think that is an issue. I think it is more of an issue that her financial investor or business partner is in charge of the group who is in charge of giving people these loans, which I feel like is double dipping. I went to the meeting for Middletown Moving Forward, and I wanted to see what kind of things that people were talking about, and I was gravely concerned. And there are people that live in this town who are taxpayers and who are voters who have these same concerns, and the same way I went and dug around and can go to these meetings, other people can too. And I am coming to you to let you know that there is awareness, and the last thing that we want to do is go back to the old local governments where you have a handful of people that are making decisions. I think that most of the people in this town feel completely left out about any decisions. I looked at the zoning thing last night, and unless you're an attorney, I don't know how you would even decipher it. Nobody's came forward to say, hey, let's go into detail with you. You throw it on us. We come here, we hear a partial bit of it. Everybody has questions, and then that's all we have at the end of the day is unanswered questions. And I'm just wondering who is going to have my best interests at heart or the majority of the people. There are people here that have more concerns than just downtown. There are people here that have crime in their neighborhood. They're moving, they're afraid. There's drugs, drug addicts, kids watching people overdose. I think that we need to take our focus off of downtown a little bit and focus on some of the real concerns here tonight. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. All right, and the last card I have this evening is from Ms. Wanda Glover. Ms. Glover?
My name is Wanda Glover, Chair of the Second Ward Community Council, concerned citizen, and I live at 1106 Calumet Avenue, Middletown, Ohio. I would like to first say that our Christmas party was a great success, and part of that is to thank the council members who also gave generous donations, and I just want to take the time to thank you all very much for your participation and your kind donations for the Christmas party for the kids that we had last Saturday. The other question I want to address was the elephant in the room. That is that it's been brought to our attention. We've had housing meetings, and it's been brought up at the housing meetings. I've had other meetings, gotten phone calls about the factor that people are asking why the council hasn't addressed an ethical problem, or if maybe Les can shed some light on it. We have new council members coming in, and they're saying that downtown group is getting money from the city. Moving forward, it's giving money, and the city is funding that for some of the council people or a council person who has a club or bar downtown. And they were saying, is it ethical for a person to be on council and receive money for council? And so that's one of the questions that was asked of me, and I don't know the answer. I don't know what's in the bylaws or what's in the laws or rules or regulation for a council person, but I do know that it hasn't been addressed in the newspaper. It hasn't been brought out. It's just a bunch of whispers. And I just would like for that to be, some light to be shed on this before, I guess, the installation of new officers, if this is something that's unethical, or if this is something that's being slid under the table or pushed past us. But I just would like to know about it because it keeps coming up more and more.
All right. Well, thanks for your comments this evening.
Okay, is there nothing? No comment?
Well, again, we're not set up for a dialogue necessarily, but I think what council can do is receive your comments. I think we can either reply during our comments or
Okay, but it
provide
is
some
something
information.
that is
There's-
being looked into?
Yeah, there's been a lot of study on it. So
Yeah,
thank
because
you.
I've been getting a lot of phone calls. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, and that concludes all the cards I have this evening. Got a couple presentations to take care of this evening as our next agenda item. I'll jump up and do that. Let's see, the first one, I'd like to invite Mr. Les Landon up to the podium to recognize his years of service. We've got a great law director here in the city of Middletown who's spent nearly 30 years in service to the city. We were talking before council, trying to calculate out how many council meetings he's probably worked as law director, and it's well over, we're sure it's over 500, probably more. And the gray hair is probably a testament to that too. So, because I know I've got a lot more, and I've only been here 10 years. So, but no, it's been an honor and privilege to work with Les. He's provided great counsel, great guidance, incredible advice, and has really done a lot for the city, a lot for council. A lot of it is, I think, underappreciated sometimes because when you don't get in trouble and you don't get in the news and you stay out of trouble, it's kind of a non-event. And not that we necessarily would trip into too much trouble, but Les does a good job of keeping us on the straight and narrow and keeps everything moving so smoothly. So on behalf of council, I'll take a moment to read this certificate of appreciation. Whereas Leslie S. Landon began his career with the City of Middletown in April of 1989 as the Assistant Law Director. In February of 2000, he was promoted to the position of Law Director. As both Director and Assistant Director, Les Landon has been actively involved in a variety of legal matters, including defending the city against lawsuits, negotiating, drafting, and reviewing contracts, handling labor negotiations with the city's unions, advising the city administration and city council, and performing the role of the city's legal counsel. And whereas, Les Landon has also taken the lead in developing meaningful city employee training. The Professional Development Academy is a series of training programs designed to enhance the city's employees' understanding of the city organization, the community, and the employees' role in both. The Academy includes advanced orientation programs for new employees, a clerical administrative program for employees in crucial administrative positions, and the Employee Development Academy for those employees moving to supervisory and/or leadership positions in the organization. And whereas, Les Landon's hard work and dedication has positively impacted the City of Middletown throughout his 28-year career. And whereas, Les Landon has been actively involved in a local theater and at Light Up Middletown and many other community projects. Now therefore, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor, and on behalf of City Council, city staff members, and all our citizens, take great pride in congratulating you on your well-earned retirement and tender this certificate of appreciation and a key to the city to you, Les Landon. Congratulations, sir. Appreciate all your service. Thank you. You want to offer a couple more words of sage advice to us?
I actually wrote something down before I came tonight because I'd asked Doug if I could have a minute, and he had said yes. I wasn't expecting to get a key to the city and a certificate, and I appreciate that, and thank you. I left those over there. I'm going to try to be as brief as I can. You all know that's a problem for me, but I'll do my best. I want to say thank you to all of the council members who are presently on council and their predecessors for putting up with me and allowing me to do this for the last 30 years. It has been a great trip for me. I've enjoyed it enormously. I've done so many different things. I've met so many great people, been exposed to so many great things in the city, and have a very different view of my hometown than I used to. I have always taken enormous pride in the fact that I was born here, I was raised here, and it is something very, very special about being the chief legal officer of the community where you grew up. That's important to me, and I take enormous pride in the fact of what I do and why I do it. I would also like to thank the people I worked with. City managers, the clerks of council, all the department heads, the police officers, the fire department, our public works people, and there's clerical people and other people who I can't list everybody, okay? The simple fact of the matter is, I'll tell you this. I live here. I roam out in the streets from time to time in stores and such, and people walk up to me, and sometimes I'm the brunt of some frustration. And I normally can look people in the eye very directly and say, be aware that the people who work for this city are dedicated. They love this place. A lot of them don't live here. They still love it. They give it everything they got every day. And I'll just remind you five folks and the people that live in this community, we are enormously lucky to have the dedicated, caring employees that we have. They're great people. They work hard. They love this place. And they do it because that's what they do. They love serving the community, and we need to remember that. I want to say thank you to my family members. My mom and dad have been gone for a long time. I know they're pretty proud. That makes me feel good. But wonderful people who gave things up that they could have had when they were younger to make sure that I had what I needed to have a good future. That's what parenting is about. And I will fight with anybody who would suggest that my parents weren't the best they could be. Friends that are great, been supportive. I've got 2 boys, one of whom's here tonight. They were always willing to give Dad a break when he missed dinner or he missed a soccer game or something that was important in their lives. It was always okay with them when I had to do that. That made this so much easier. And finally, I can't say enough about my wife. Somebody told me a long time ago that the journey through life is all about who you pick to make the journey with. They were right, and I did a damn good job. And she's supportive. We've been together, we dated for 7.5 years. We've been married for 39 years. And I couldn't have done this without her. Finally, the last thing I want to say, and I'll go sit down, is that it has been my honor to serve as the law director of this community. And that sounds trite and that sounds fake. Ask the people who know me the best, it's not. I truly view it as a great honor to serve this community. Thank you all for everything you've done over the years.
All right, we also have a couple outgoing council members. First, like to recognize Dora Bronston. Dora, if you take a moment to come on down, come on over. She's here on injured reserve too, so but, on the mend. No, glad to see her up and around. Working with Dora over the past 4 years and even before that, it's been a real privilege. She's really brought a lot to council and a lot to the community. Again, a lot of dedication to Middletown and the people of Middletown. And it's hard to put it into words, but I've got a little certificate of appreciation for both Dora and Dan. Whereas, Dora Bronston is a lifelong Middletonian and is passionate about the city of Middletown. Dora attended Miami University of Middletown for her associate, California Lutheran University and Grace College for her bachelor degree. She earned her Master of Arts in Pastoral Counseling from Life Christian University and a PhD in Administration and Organization from IAU in 1996. And whereas Dora Bronston has served as an at-large council member since 2014 and served as vice mayor for 2 years during her tenure. She has proven herself to be a tireless servant leader with a heart for people and for justice. She has given freely of her time and talent beyond what was required or expected and makes herself available to participate in as many community functions as possible. And whereas, over the past 4 years, Dora Bronston and her fellow Middletown City Council members have seen Middletown rise from the ashes of what Forbes declared a dying city. The city is heading in the right direction and is living up to its motto of a bright past and a brighter future. And whereas, Dora Bronston has assisted hundreds of citizens over the years and has been very active in many organizations throughout the community. Dora has served as the president of Links Theological University, the director of the Solid Rock Bible College and the Lebanon Correctional Bible College. She is a graduate of the Chamber Community Leadership Course, a lifetime member of the Historical Society, a lifetime member of the VFW Auxiliary, and a lifetime member of the NAACP. Dora Bronston has served as a member of the Middletown Moving Forward Board, the Citizen Advisory Board of the Police, the Tax Incentive Review Council, and the OKI Executive Board. Her dedication and hard work have positively impacted the city of Middletown. Now therefore I, by the powers vested in me as mayor of the city of Middletown, on behalf of the city council, city staff, and citizens of our city, do hereby present this certificate of recognition as a token of our appreciation and wish her well on her future endeavors. Congratulations, Dora. Appreciate all your hard work and keep it up. You're an awful few other words in, so.
Thank you. I had a few things typed up for my comments over there, and so this was a surprise. But it's been a pleasure working with the city. As Larry said, I am a servant leader, and that means I serve. And in ministry, that's what we say. We're servants, and so we serve. It's been a pleasure. I love Middletown. I love the people of Middletown. I love all the people of Middletown. It's been a great pleasure seated here with all of my colleagues. I think Doug has known me the longest. We were on a drug marketing initiative program together many years ago to fight crime with drugs and things like that for Middletown. It's been great working with Amy. We've gotten very close. I respect Amy as a mature woman who's really pursuing her future, and she's done great things for the council. Of course, we have great leaders in our mayor and in Councilman Moon and, of course, Councilman Bohannon. Dan, I commend you. You're on your way out to pursue whatever you have dreams of in the future with Tammy. And I really have enjoyed working with all of you. I have confidence in you, Tal, and in Steve. I think that it's a great thing for all of you to be out tonight. I'm really surprised, and I'm really happy that people do have concerns, not unlike myself, fighting for justice and causes in our community, and that's what we do. If we want to see change, that's what we do. So please don't stop coming out. I'll be coming out. Nadine, I'll be bugging you. And it's just great to be here for the people who have elected me, for all of those people that worked on my campaigns, volunteered, all those people who did go out and vote for me. I appreciate that. And I think I can wrap it up by saying that, Mayor. Thank you.
Last but not least, Dan Picard. Thank you, Dan. Again, Dan's been on council for 8 years now, and again, moving off to his retirement from council, but still actively practicing law. And again, his guidance and expertise in the city and insight to different things has been a great asset. His counsel will be missed, and certainly appreciate his service to the city and to its citizens. So, whereas Dan Picard was born in Fort Kent, Maine, and moved to Middletown in 1976. He graduated from Miami University in 1978 with a degree in political science, and from the University of Dayton School of Law in 1981. After law school, Dan Picard started his own practice of law in Middletown, which continued for 4 years. In 1985, he joined the firm of Frost Brown Todd, formerly Frost & Jacobs. He practiced law with them until 2002, when he left to go to work in a family business, Picard Paper Processing, for 7 years. In March 2009, he returned to the private practice of law with an office in Monroe. And whereas Dan has served as a city council member since 2010 and has served as vice mayor during his tenure. Dan has proven himself to be a strong leader and thinks outside the box and seeks alternatives to make an impact in our community. And whereas, over the past 8 years, Dan Picard and his fellow Middletown City Council members have guided our city through the worst economic storms, faced many challenges, including improving aged infrastructure, providing opportunities for decent paying jobs, and continuing economic development. Thanks to their dedicated leadership, the city is heading in the right direction and is living up to its motto of a bright past and a brighter future. And whereas, Mr. Picard has been very active in many organizations throughout the community, including co-chairing the 2013 United Way campaign and co-chairing Middletown's oldest running event, the 92nd Annual Charity Ball, to benefit the Middletown Area Federations of Women's Clubs Endowment. Dan has served as a member of the Airport Commission, Architectural Review Board, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Library Board of Trustees, the Park Board, the Self Board, the Housing Committee, the Consolidated Plan Committee, and the Public Safety Committee. His dedication and hard work have positively impacted the City of Middletown and its citizens. Now therefore I, by the powers vested in me as Mayor of the City of Middletown, on behalf of City Council, City staff, and citizens of our city, do hereby present this certificate of recognition as a token of our appreciation and wish you the very best in your future. Congratulations, Dan. Thanks for your service.
I too took the time to write something down, and so I'm going to thank everybody for this and thank my council members and so on, and I'm going to reserve some time for council comments, and thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, and with that, we can move to our city manager reports. Mr. Atkins?
And I hate to follow all that. I've got a few updates for you, most of them heading into next year. We will have a charter review process starting in next year. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Landon to give a quick update on how that will come together for us.
Yes, our charter review would normally be scheduled in 2019. We had a discussion over the last few months. We simply have no one in the charter review process right now who has any experience, with the exception of me. Since I am returning to the city in a part-time capacity next year in March, we thought it would be a good time to do the charter review. And so what we would like to do, we've kind of created a very brief outline. We'd like to suggest to council that we create a 7-person commission. The charter requires this occur at least once every 10 years. We create a 7-person commission, 1 appointed by each member of council, and 2 coming from the manager's office on behalf of staff. Obviously, the complement of the committee, the review committee, would be approved by city council, so that if any of the members from staff particularly were problematic, those could be discussed. We would try to do that in February of next year. In March, we would be able to come back in and get some meetings started. That normally involves Amy, myself. I would be involving Sarah and Susan, so that they would be learning the process and getting acquainted with it. We would hope that by late June, we could get a report to council if there are any proposed changes from the committee. And we have, those have to be posted, they have to be filed with the Board of Elections by August 8th of next year. If that is acceptable with council generally, we'll kind of move forward with that plan, and I think it will get us a good result and keep us moving.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Landon on the charter review? It's been 9 years. That was a while since we did it, and participated in that. The one question I have on the 7 members, is that down from what we had before? Do you recall? I mean,
Yes,
I think we had, I forget what the composition.
Yeah, the last time we did this, we had 7 members on council at the time.
So.
We asked each, council actually indicated a desire that each of them appoint 2 people.
Okay.
What we ended up with was 14 people in a room. It got a little unwieldy at times, just because of size. We thought that 7 might be a good number. We should not have the kinds of issues. One of the reasons we were very cautious with that one is we were looking at the ward structure, we were looking at the number of people on council. There were some big issues. I don't see those kind of issues in the off this time. I see more of looking through some of the particulars of the charter, unless people on the committee see some things they think we need to do.
Okay.
I was on that last charter review, and to echo your comments, 14 people was far too many. It made the process take far too long. It was much too difficult to get everybody on board. I agreed that 7 was much better.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else for Mr. Landon on the charter review? I think it's probably good to participate with and have that with your guidance and leadership, and have a smooth transition there. So
I appreciate that, and we will move forward with creating a little more formal schedule.
Yes, sir. Our second thing is the city master plan. In the first quarter of 2018, we will be putting together a planning form for the city master plan. First plan we've done since 2005. As you're aware, a master plan is a blueprint intended to guide development in the city and address a number of key topics, including housing development and revitalization over the next 5 to 10 years. The master plan will combine recently completed studies with community visioning, as well as the recently adopted downtown Middletown strategic plan, the housing study, transportation, all into one cohesive citywide plan. As part of that planning process, we will be forming a volunteer planning forum for the master plan. The overall role of those members would be to assist the planning process by working with city staff and consultants and by being the sounding board and review body for the master plan. We've done this obviously in the past. Wanted to bounce off of you again in the same way Mr. Landa did. Typically, it would include a member of city council, some membership from the planning commission, a representative from the Middletown City School District, our education partners such as Cincinnati State and Miami University Middletown, our largest employers such as AK Steel and Atrium Medical Center, chamber member, somebody from the real estate community, potentially other business stakeholders and expertise that we would need. And especially since housing is going to be such a complete, important part of this component, we're going to ask for a representative from the housing group that I met with at the community center that formed up this summer, and also a representative from the Old Second Ward Community Council to make sure that they're heard on this process. So we will, if that's acceptable to council, again, as Mr. Landon stated, we will start in 2018 putting this schedule together, and the idea of those things together, we'll bring that back to you in a little more formal plan, but wanted to give you an idea where we're heading, the process we used in the past, and again, line things up, make sure there weren't any concerns on the front end before we started down that path.
Council doesn't appoint for that like they do for the charter review.
Correct. We would, though, bring that back for you and make sure there wasn't anybody that you felt was problematic. And obviously, we want you to be happy with the decisions that we're making. For the members that are here and the members that have been here for the last several months, I think y'all are going to be really surprised when you see where I'm headed with this stuff. Everybody's been so scared of me. I think you're going to be incredibly surprised with what I'm bringing to the table. I think you're going to go, well, we thought this was going to be bad, and it's not. So I have all year. There's no time frame to get the housing piece right. I'll start first quarter next year. We'll get some dates after we all get done with the holidays, and I'll have as many meetings as you want to have. I don't care. It's getting it right. They're hard stuff, but I've got a lot of tools that I've been gathering for several years, all the way back in community revitalization, and only one of them's demolition. I've got a whole toolbox of stuff we've never tried in Middletown that I want to bring out and say, what do y'all think? What do you want in your neighborhoods? Because I got all these tools that we might be able to do that. And so I think as you get down the road, you're going to go, well, he's not such a jerk. He really isn't. So we'll start that process next year, and I'll keep putting out my hand and I'll keep telling you the truth until you believe me. So we'll just keep going down that path. Third item, Your Honor, is at the very end of your agenda tonight is a motion item regarding the long-term control plan. Did that not to spur you to action tonight, City Council, but rather we will have an update in executive session of where that litigation stands. We could potentially be ready to make a deal on this, and I didn't want to make the presentation, have you all say it's fine, and then sneak out of executive session and somehow pass $250 million worth of work without the public knowing what we were headed to. If you are not ready to take action tonight, that's fine. We'll talk to you about why we think the timing is good. This is there for transparency purposes. This is not to encourage you or force you to take action tonight. I just, like I said, didn't want to surprise people that, 8 o'clock tonight after an executive session, we suddenly snuck in and did hundreds of millions of dollars worth of work. So it's on the agenda. If you get to the end of things tonight, you want to take action, it's ready to go. If not, we'll table it, or we'll go back and finish whatever you need us to do. Again, this is just for the public to know that we're talking about it, and we're very close to the end, and a deal is probably ready to go if you are ready to take action on it. And the last thing I'll say is I really appreciate Dr. Bronson and Dan Picard and the work I've done with you since I've taken over city manager. I have genuinely enjoyed working with both of you. I wish you both the best. Thank you. You've made my job a little easier, and that always is appreciated. So thank you, Your Honor. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Any questions, Mr. Atkins? All right, we can move on to our consent agenda. Ms. Skank?
For your consideration this evening, we have the approval of the city council minutes from December 5th, 2017. To receive and file board and commission minutes from the library board of October 17th, 2017, and the Park Board of November 13th, 2017. To confirm the personnel appointments of Cody Adams, Corrections Officer, Department of Public Safety, Division of Police; Zachary Barnhart, Staff Attorney, Department of Law; Andreas Eddy, Treatment Plant Operator, Department of Public Works, Division of Water Treatment; Chet Schuler, Part-Time GIS Administrator, Department of Information Systems, to purchase liquid chlorine from Bonded Chemical in Columbus, Ohio, in the amount of 0.8375 gallons for use at the wastewater treatment plant and 0.977 per gallon for use at the water treatment plant. To confirm the Board and Commission appointments of Civil Service Commission, Dustin Hurley; the Board of Health, Margie Davis; Historic Commission, Joanne Mijas; and the Library Board of Bill Jones.
Okay, do we have a motion for the approval of the issues and actions listed on the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Ms. Camp, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Picard?
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan?
Yes.
Ms. Bronston?
Yes.
All right, thank you. That brings us to council comments. Start with Mr. Picard this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. As most of you know, when it's been my turn for council comments, I've been brief, and most often I didn't have anything to say. Tonight I do, so you'll bear with me. I want to take some time to tell you that I've enjoyed my 8 years on council, and I want to take some time to thank people who have supported me and been of assistance during my tenure. First, I want to thank my wife, Tammy. As I said 8 years ago, the love of my life, who I finally married this past May. I want to thank her for all of the time that I've spent away from her and for all of her support that she's provided me. I want to thank my stepchildren and my children for allowing me to devote as much time and effort to this job as I have. I've been blessed with such wonderful children. My son DJ, my daughter Laura, my daughter Stephanie have always been such a joy, and none of them have ever given me a moment of concern. Well, maybe except once when Laura called me from the back of a police car in the middle of the night. But that's over. Before I continue with my thanks, let me say a few words about people who have disagreed with me and have felt the need to attack me on social media with lies, untruths, and not to mention other things. I want you to know that I forgive you and that I pray for you every day. I implore you and the others to cease all negativity, which apparently overwhelms your lives. I request that you do not treat my successors in the same manner that you have treated me. Having said that, I want to thank all of my current and past council members for all of your time and effort, for all of your support of me during council. And Dora, I wish you the best in the future, and Tal and Steve, good luck in the future. I also want to take a moment to thank Anita Scott-Jones. When I first came to council, I had never met Anita, and she welcomed me and gave me great advice and great assistance in my years in council, so I want to thank her. I want to thank Amy for everything that she does, for keeping me informed, for making sure that everything happens the way it should in council. I also want to thank Judy Gilliland for everything she did when I first came to council, and for everything she did for this city. She was here during a very difficult time, and I believe she did her best, and I appreciate everything she has done. I want to take a moment to thank Doug Atkins for everything he's done for our city. For me, and also as well for me during my years with him. I think the city is very lucky to have someone of your talent to lead us into the future. You've accomplished a great deal in your first several years, and I know you will be the catalyst to continue to move the city forward. To that point, I encourage my fellow and future council members to continue to support Mr. Atkins and to allow him to continue with his efforts on all fronts. I want to thank Chiefs Lawley and Muterspaw for all that they've done, and all the firemen and all the policemen who do so much for our city and who have always been supportive of me. Lastly, I want to thank all of the other city employees, and as Mr. Landon said, there are too many to name, but I've been here for 8 years, and every single one of them has always been an outstanding individual, someone who is very concerned about this city and moving it forward. I can honestly say I've never run into a city employee who I thought was not doing what they should be doing. There are many challenges facing the city: the streets, sewers, the EPA, which we're going to talk about tonight, all of which will cost the city hundreds of millions of dollars to take care of. As the mayor outlined in his State of the City speech last week, the city has been going through an amazing transformation, and I look forward to many more exciting projects coming to the city in the next few years. Last Friday, my wife and I were downtown for dinner with friends. And as I told the mayor this evening, it was wonderful to be downtown on Friday night. It was busy. There were people everywhere. We even had a hard time finding a place to park the car. I mean, that's how good it is. And when I first came on council 8 years ago, it was dead. And I recall when I campaigned, my first time, I said, downtown's dead. We're going to leave it alone and move on and never do anything else. I was wrong. It's really come back and it's growing strong. Lastly, as you all know, I created a firestorm with my inquiry regarding heroin and our response to this overwhelming problem this past summer. I cannot begin to tell you how much this inquiry adversely affected me, my family, and many people who work for the city. I am sorry for all of the time and effort that people were required to expend as a result of my comments. I want to take a moment to thank everyone who expended time and effort to ensure the safety of me and my family during that difficult time. I want to thank the Middletown police officers who came by my residence frequently to make sure I was fine. I want to thank Sheriff Richard Jones for all of the comments he made and for taking some of the heat off of me with his own comments. I want to thank all of the Butler County deputy sheriffs who kept an eye on me when I was in Hamilton. As a result of my suggestions, I was interviewed by news organizations from around the world, and I heard from people from every corner of the world. Social media is amazing. It was incredible the number of people I heard from. And unfortunately, I have to report there are a lot of very nasty people in the world, and I heard from a lot of them. I met with numerous law enforcement people from various organizations, and I learned much more about heroin and addiction than I had ever hoped. I do want to thank everyone who supported me and took time to tell me so in regard to the comments I had made. In June, when I made my comments, the city experienced 13 overdose deaths and 151 overdose runs. Within the following months, those numbers dropped to a low of 1 overdose death and 31 runs in the month of September. Unfortunately, the numbers are rising again, but there was a great drop-off for a period of time. I've been asked many times if I regretted my comments. As I told everyone who asked, I do not regret making the comments, as I believe they led to a worldwide discussion of this very difficult issue. This problem is not going away, as we heard this evening. And as I've said on several occasions, the war on drugs has been going on my entire 61 years on this earth, and unfortunately it's only getting worse. What we've been doing for all of those years is not working. I asked all of the law enforcement people I met with, and everyone who contacted me, if they had any suggestions about how to resolve the issue. Unfortunately, no one has come up with an answer. I think it's time for everyone to consider alternatives which are outside of the box. Our country alone expends billions of dollars every year dealing with the whole drug issue, and I only see it getting worse with each passing year. As I learned this past summer, Portugal and Norway have taken the drastic step of legalizing all drugs and devoting their time and resources to treating and educating people in the same manner that they treat alcohol and people affected by alcoholism. I'm not suggesting that we follow their lead, but something has to change, and I do believe it's time to engage in a discussion about alternatives which have not been tried. During the past several months, I've been contacted by numerous college professors and college students from universities from Harvard all the way to UCLA. My suggestions that I made this past summer have been the topic of discussions in their classes this fall, and they've reached out to me to find out what happened after June. It appears that discussions are taking place, and I strongly encourage this to continue into the future. So again, thank you for providing me the opportunity. God bless each and every one of you, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Mr. Picard. Mr. Bohannon?
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I want to thank Mr. Landon, Vice Mayor Bronston, and Mr. Picard for their time and services with the city. This week, we had an incident, last week had an incident that was made a lot of news reports regarding the 9 children. And just wanted to compliment the police department and all the citizens that have stepped up to donate money as well as gifts for those children. Also, I'd like to thank Nadine, Amy, and the staff for a wonderful Christmas party that we had for lunch. Also, the long-awaited blast furnace opened and did have an opportunity to eat there Saturday night. I will say it's better the next day.
And I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moon?
Yes, just a few items. Wanted to extend my sympathies to the Pratt family, specifically Greg and Marsha, on the loss of their mother Ellen last week. Just longtime wonderful Middletown volunteers, and I just love this community, Ellen and Lauren Pratt. So, also want to extend my congratulations and best wishes to Vice Mayor Bronston, Councilman Picard, and Mr. Landon. One of the most enjoyable parts of this job is getting to know new people, working with people I would have never had the opportunity to work with had it not been for this council. And I'm glad that this isn't necessarily goodbye. It's goodbye from this council seat, but I know we're going to be seeing you guys around town a whole lot. And then the last thing I just wanted to mention to all the folks that have been coming out for the last couple months. We all live here. I work here. I don't really have to leave Middletown much except when I go visit my in-laws in Springboro. I work on Brill Boulevard. We have public emails. My phone number is online. We have different life experiences. We're going to approach things differently. So we will all benefit if you have feedback. So please, if you have feedback, don't hesitate to contact us individually. That's why we're here. So please reach out.
Thank you. Ms. Bronson?
Yeah, just a few. I left out Les on purpose. Wanted to congratulate Les for a job well done over the years. Your wife works around the corner from where I live, so I get to see her more than I see you. And I think your presentations in a few occasions where you've had to interpret the law and bring some enlightenment. You have a way with words, and you do your study, you do your research. So I do appreciate that about you. And I did miss you while you were not seated here with us. So I just wanted to say that to you personally. You probably will still be working, and probably even the more after you officially retire. But I wanted to say that. And I wanted to say thank you to the firefighters, Local 336. I always get that number wrong. They took me out for dinner and gave me this beautiful plaque, and it's just beautiful. And I look at it every day. So I wanted to say thank you to them. And you all will never forget me because we have a Dora district here. And it's always been such a funny thing when Doug talks about it. There are a lot of things that we accomplished while I've been on council, a lot. I thank Doug for pushing the Purple Heart for Middletown to be a Purple Heart city because the veterans are so close to my heart. And so I appreciate that, Doug. And I think I included everybody. I think I'm done.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Bronson. I'll extend my thanks and appreciation to both Dan and Dora again on many years of service and dedication to the city, and certainly appreciate it. And again, I said my piece to Les, but he's just done a phenomenal job as well. And I'll keep my comments brief and just wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year to everyone. And we can move on with our legislation this evening. Mr. Landon?
Thank you, Mayor Mulligan. We have 11 items of legislation tonight. 2 of those items are second readings. 2 of those items are first readings. The remaining 7 items are emergency legislation. And so I need a motion to waive the charter provision as to resolution numbers R 2017-42, R 2017-43, R 2017-44, and ordinances numbered O 2017-64, O 2017-65, O 2017-66, and O 2017-67.
Mr. Landon, I'd like to make a motion to waive the charter that requires reading on 2 separate dates for the resolutions and ordinances so stated, and declare emergency measures to be read one time only.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Ms. Skank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Picard?
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan?
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Ms. Bronston?
Yes.
Resolution number R 2017-42, a resolution authorizing transfers of the various funds and declaring an emergency.
Do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second? Anything to update, Mr. Atkins? I know we had a presentation on this last time, and,
No update, Your Honor.
okay, any questions, Mr. Atkins? All right, Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Picard.
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan.
Yes.
Ms. Bronston.
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon.
Yes.
Mr. Moon.
Yes.
Resolution number R 2017-43, a resolution to make adjustments to appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Middletown, Counties of Butler and Warren, State of Ohio, for the period ending December 31, 2017, and declaring an emergency. This includes the General Fund and the Main Street Special Assessment Fund. It also includes a couple other various funds.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we had a presentation on this last time. Any questions or comments? Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Mulligan.
Yes.
Ms. Bronston.
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon.
Yes.
Mr. Moon.
Yes.
Mr. Picard.
Yes.
Resolution number R 2017-44, a resolution authorizing a transfer from the general fund to the airport capital fund and declaring an emergency.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All right. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Bronston.
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon.
Yes.
Mr. Moon.
Yes.
Mr. Picard.
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan.
Yes.
The next two items on our legislative agenda are both second readings. Ordinance number O 2017-62, an ordinance repealing Chapter 1414, the CABO 1 and 2 Family Dwelling Code, Part 4 of the codified ordinances.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion or comments? I know we had a presentation on this last time as well. All right, Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bohannon.
Yes.
Mr. Moon.
Yes.
Mr. Picard.
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan.
Yes.
Ms. Bronston.
Yes.
Item 5 is our other second reading. It is ordinance number O 2017-63, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a pilot agreement for small business economic development grant with Mike Allen Real Estate Holdings LLC and Allen Group Enterprise LLC, DBA BMW Motorcycles of Greater Cincinnati.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Second. I know we had a presentation on this as well last time. Any other questions or comments? All right, Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Moon.
Yes.
Mr. Picard.
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan.
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon.
Yes.
Ms. Bronston.
Yes.
Next are the ordinances which are here as emergencies. The remaining ordinances here as emergencies tonight. Ordinance number O 2017-64, an ordinance approving an agreement with Opus Development Company LLC, providing for the construction of a facility to be used as a distribution center, as a development project and tax exemption pursuant to the State Urban Jobs and Enterprise Zone Program, and making determination in connection therewith, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Atkins, anything else to add?
No, Your Honor, we do have representatives from Opus here if there are any questions, but it's ready for your action tonight.
Questions or comments? All right, Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Picard.
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan.
Yes.
Ms. Bronston.
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon.
Yes.
Mr. Moon.
Yes.
Next item, ordinance number O 2017-65, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing an amendment to the professional services contract with the Center for Family Solutions to provide victim advocate services and declaring an emergency.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion or comments?
Mr. Atkins, is the main change here, it looks like it's a $4,000 additional? Was that really the only substantive?
For the victim's advocate?
Yeah.
No.
Am I mixing up my?
You want Susan to talk about this a little bit?
Can everyone hear me from here?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think the money changed. There was some consolidation of language. The main changes was that we originally had a bill due January 1. Because of our accounting system, we would not be able to meet that deadline. So they agreed to make some changes to make it January 15th to make our accounting system work. And then there were also some language changes they asked for in reference their staffing. You'll notice the first
Right.
draft of the contract has particular names listed and some staffing information. They have asked for that information to be stricken from the contract because of their staffing needs due to VOCA grant award dollars, and we've agreed to make those changes. I don't believe there'll be any substantive change with regards to services, just some language.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Mr. Boone?
Thank you.
No.
Okay. All right, Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Mulligan,
Yes.
Ms. Bronston,
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Picard.
Yes.
Ordinance number O 2017-66, an ordinance amending the pay and benefits ordinance for the Department of Health and Environment, ordinance number O 2017-50, and declaring an emergency. We simply discovered a typographical error in there as to the range level for an employee, and this corrects that.
All right, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion or comments? Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Bronston,
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Picard,
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan.
Yes.
Our last emergency item this evening is ordinance number O 2017-67, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing a professional services contract with Kaiser Medical Corporation for medical and nursing services for incarcerated prisoners in the city jail and declaring an emergency.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Atkins?
Yes, Your Honor. City's contracted for several years with Kaiser Medical Corporation for the jail medical facilities. We did put this out for bid this year. We received one bid, which was non-responsive. There were several problems with their bid as it was submitted. We re-engaged with Dr. Kaiser, and they've agreed to extend the services for an additional 3 years at the $96,000 per year, as well as 2 optional years if we want to do that into the future.
Okay.
We are recommending that we go ahead and go forward with that.
Very good. Any questions or comments? Okay, Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bohannon,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Picard,
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan,
Yes.
Ms. Bronston.
Yes.
Last 2 items of legislation are both first readings, do not require any action by council this evening. Ordinance number O 2017-68, an ordinance repealing a portion of the existing planning and zoning code, which is part 12 of the Middletown Codified Ordinances, adopting a new development code and renumbering certain chapters of the existing planning and zoning code as part of the new development code.
Okay, Mr. Atkins?
Yes, Your Honor. Planning Commission meeting was held on Wednesday, November 8th, and they have now passed the recommended approval of the new zoning code for the city of Middletown. We've worked over the past 2 years with our consultant on the update of the code. If you recall, most of our code was passed in the 1960s. It's over 50 years old. We've also worked with other city departments, community groups such as Downtown Middletown Inc. and Middletown Moving Forward. The Planning and Zoning Department have encouraged citizen input through comment submittals through their website and through our website at the city. Planning staff has also had some open houses and spoke to residents about the ordinance. The overall purpose was honestly to accomplish a number of goals, including streamlining the regulations to make it easier to invest in the community and to do business with Middletown, provide a comprehensive update to the existing zoning and subdivision regulations that haven't been updated completely since the 1960s, ensure that the new code addresses modern uses and issues, eliminate nonconformities, make it easier to understand. The new code has pictures and everything else. It's just simply clearer, easier, and more consistent. We have made several major changes to the code. The current code has a large number of review procedures scattered throughout the code. We've consolidated those all in a new chapter 1226 so that they're all in one place and easier to understand. Design standards for the new development have been established in a clear and predictable manner that allows for staff to review a majority of the applications for development. There is an administrative or waiver process now for alternative compliance review for minor changes to any development that will not have to go before the Board of Zoning Appeals for a minor amendment. We are modernizing the requirements without changing what people are allowed to do with their properties under the existing regulations. Our sign ordinance has been completely redone to simplify the regulations as well as to comply with federal case law on the regulations of signs. The new code has provisions for ticketing property owners who do not bring their properties into compliance after given written warnings and sufficient time under the ordinance to remedy the problem. This, again, makes it easier to get compliance without having to go through the court system. All the definitions were updated and consolidated into a single glossary, and there is a new zoning map amendment ready to go that incorporates all of the changes that have been made. Assuming you go ahead and pass this, it would take effect around March 1st of 2018, the end of a literally 2-year process of, gosh, I don't know how many staff members have been involved in working on this, different pieces of it. This you have before you one of the most modern zoning codes in the state of Ohio, and we're very proud of what we brought to you.
Very good. Question, Mr. Atkins?
Just a comment, kind of, and a question. Not living in planning and zoning code every day, probably like most of us don't. It sounds like we have sought feedback other than the planning and zoning department from folks that live in this day to day. I want to make sure we're not putting up arbitrary, difficult hurdles for folks that want to come and start business in town. You know, that we're going to be able to work with them through this code.
This is much more simple to understand what is expected, how to do it, how to apply. As you're aware, we've worked over the last 3 years to build our one-stop shop, to simplify how you do business with the city. This not only makes it easier to do business, it's got the most modern law in the state of Ohio. It's a very nice code.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just, I'll compliment staff and really a lot of volunteers were involved too between Planning Commission. I think BZA was involved as well too, and I think the Historical Commission as well. So there are a number of different, volunteer commissions that are involved, and each had public hearings and a fair amount of input on this. Again, I think it's probably overdue, and having sat through a number of Planning Commission meetings of things that you think should be pretty obvious and aren't, to wrestle over, and then dealing with other issues that weren't very clear in the code and create problems and issues. I think this should do a lot to streamline and improve things. So, and
that
again,
was one thing that I was complaining about when I was running for council. Remember? So
it made
Thank you.
a lot of great strides, and appreciate the. There's a for those that are interested, page 10 includes a nice reference from previous zoning codes to the new zoning codes. And again, I think we can pretty much say that the residential side won't be changing really drastically at all. So I feel good about that, those codes. So, okay. Anything else, Mr. Atkins? All right. And the last item?
Our last item is ordinance number 2017-69. It is also a first reading, an ordinance vacating a portion of Long Meadow Drive.
Subject for public hearing this morning, or earlier today, earlier this evening. Any other questions or comments on that? All right. Hearing none, our last item this evening is, maybe not last. We'll see. Our next item is executive session under the Ohio Revised Code 121.22 G3 for conferences with an attorney from the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action.
Make a motion.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
second.
Ms. Skank, would you call the roll?
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Picard,
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan,
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon,
Yes.
Ms. Bronston.
All right, following our executive session, we'll be here to consider a motion item possibly on moving forward with our long-term control plan and our consent decree, but not necessarily. So we'll see where that takes us. So look forward to our discussion, and we'll reconvene after that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Staying in here, or
We're going to go down to the police conference room.